Most people think Harley's biggest problem is Honda, Indian, or the next cruiser coming from overseas. That's the easy answer, but it's also the wrong one. The real threat to Harley didn't roll in with loud pipes or flashy ads. It arrived quietly, and most riders didn't even notice it at first. You see it in the questions new buyers ask, the way dealers talk behind closed doors, and what younger riders expect before they ever twist a throttle. This threat isn't trying to beat Harley at its own game, it's changing the game entirely. Stick with this to the end, because once you see how this plays out, it changes how you look at Harley's future, the competitor. Harley never prepared for. The trouble hit long before anyone in Milwaukee realized it. Riders were watching the usual rivals, expecting the next punch to come from across the Pacific, or from a familiar American badge. But the real danger walked right past all the old battle lines. It came from companies that didn't grow up fighting over displacement, chrome, or heritage. They came from the tech world, from lifestyle brands, from labs filled with coders instead of wrenches. They were not trying to build a better Harley. They were trying to build something that made the entire idea of Harley feel outdated. The first warning signs were subtle. A new rider showing up at a meet with a machine that barely made a sound. A co-worker choosing an electric commuter over a mid-size cruiser without blinking. A younger crowd bragging about over-the-air updates, not exhaust notes. What startled seasoned riders wasn't just the technology, it was the attitude behind it. These companies were not selling motorcycles. They were selling the promise of a lifestyle where maintenance was minimal, performance was digital, and the machine behaved more like a smartphone on wheels than an engine with a soul. Harley never prepared for this because it never looked like a threat. No heritage, no lineage, no oil under the fingernails. But while Harley guarded the past, these newcomers rewrote the future. Riders who once dreamed of their first big twin were now lining up for subscription-based torque and customizable power curves. And the shift didn't come with a roar. It came with silence, confidence, and speed. The ambush had only begun, and the next hit cut even deeper. The shock grows sharper when you remember where Harley's soul actually came from, where Harley's soul really comes from. Long before lifestyle tech brands existed, the heartbeat of a Harley came from a series of engineering choices that were never meant to become icons. They were jerry-rigged solutions born from necessity and stubbornness. That stubbornness turned into character, and that character turned into identity. The uneven firing, the distinct vibration, the unmistakable sound, all of it came from decisions made by men who did not have money but had grit. They built with what they had, not what they wished for. Riders fell in love with a machine that was never engineered to be perfect. It was engineered to feel alive. You could hear every pulse, sense every load change, and feel every mile through your boots. The quirks were not flaws to be smoothed out. They were the fingerprints of a living mechanical thing. People who complain that a Harley shakes at idle forget that this was never meant to impress engineers in white coats. It was meant to speak to riders who wanted a machine with a voice. That soul created loyalty thicker than steel. It turned simple rides into memories that lasted decades. But this very soul is what modern lifestyle tech brands have targeted. They are not attacking Harley's engineering. They are attacking the idea that a motorcycle should feel like a machine at all. In a world where everything is optimized, sanitized, and digitized, Harley's old magic suddenly looks vulnerable. And that sets up the next blow when the world's expectations changed faster than Harley could react. Because the next shift didn't hit the motor, it hit the mindset of the entire riding world. If you ride, wrench, or follow this industry, hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown. And if you've seen signs of this shift in your own world, add your voice below. Riders learn faster when we talk to each other. The Harley experience versus what the modern world now expects. For generations, riders accepted that a real motorcycle was something you felt as much as you controlled. Engines had rhythm, gears had personality, roads shaped you as much as you shaped them. But the world outside riding changed. People grew used to appliances that whisper, cars that correct them, and electronics that flatten every rough edge. The expectation of perfection became so normal that anything raw began to look flawed. This is where Harley's reality collided with modern expectations. Riders still loved the feel of an engine that talks back, But the broader market started demanding silence, zero vibration, instant torque, and automatic everything. When someone raised on smartphones touches a Harley's throttle, they are stunned by the mechanical honesty. They are not used to machines that communicate through noise and movement. They expect refinement without sacrifice and technology without complication. The gap is not generational, it is philosophical. Lifestyle tech brands capitalized on this divide. They created machines that do not ask the rider to adapt. The bike adapts to them. Software smooths every rough edge. Sensors replace instincts. The ride becomes curated, predictable, controlled. To the seasoned rider, that feels unnatural. To the modern buyer, it feels normal. The ambush becomes clear. Harley did not lose its charm. The world lost its appetite for imperfection, and that left an opening for brands that weren't even trying to compete with Harley on tradition. Everything I personally use on the road is linked in the description. Take a look, then let's keep going. Lifestyle tech brands rewrote the rulebook entirely. The most dangerous competitors Harley faces are not building motorcycles in the traditional sense. They are building ecosystems. Their machines plug into cloud networks, social platforms, fitness apps, and smart home systems. Owners customize power maps from their phones. Updates arrive every month. Data becomes part of the experience. These companies do not ask riders to join a brand. They ask them to join a world. This shift blindsided Harley because it never played in that arena. Harley fought for emotional loyalty. These newcomers fight for digital loyalty. Riders buy in once, and the ecosystem keeps them locked in. Instead of Chrome catalogs, there are app stores. Instead of pipes, there are software packs. The bike is only one piece of a larger identity built on convenience, sustainability, and constant evolution. To the seasoned rider, it feels alien. To the younger buyer, it feels logical. They want a machine that syncs with everything else in their life. They want performance without maintenance and speed without intimidation. Lifestyle tech brands offer exactly that, and they offer it without carrying a century of expectations on their shoulders. Harley is not battling a motorcycle company. It is battling a cultural shift backed by technology, data, and momentum. And that shift forces the industry to confront truths it can no longer ignore. The market data. Nobody wants to look at. You do not need opinions when the numbers tell the whole story. For years, the debate around Harley's direction has been loud, emotional, and tangled in nostalgia. But the data coming out of dealer networks across the country strips all of that away. Registration reports show a slow, steady drift toward machines that do not fit the traditional cruiser mold. Dealers in several states report that new buyers are asking fewer questions about displacement and far more about charging options, subscription features, and whether the bike integrates with their devices. For riders who grew up measuring a machine by the size of its pistons, that shift feels like someone quietly changing the rules of the game. But the numbers do not care how anyone feels about it. Sales managers describe a strange pressure building on the showroom floor. Touring models still move, but the reliability of their movement is not what it used to be. Meanwhile, smaller lifestyle tech brands see their demos booked weeks out, even when they only stock a handful of units. Inventory turnover, once Harley's stronghold, shows signs of uneven pacing. The upper end of the market holds steady thanks to loyal veterans, while the lower end is pulled toward lightweight, tech-rich entries that are winning buyers who never looked at cruisers in the first place. Dealerships tracking foot traffic see that younger walk-ins lean heavily toward anything marketed as modern, efficient, and connected. None of this means Harley is collapsing. Means the market is tilting, and tilts have consequences. Insiders admit the shift is not about performance or price, but about where interest goes when new riders grow up with electric cars and software expectations. When buyers judge motorcycles by tech standards, the data will reveal it long before opinions do. If the market has changed this much, then what about the machines themselves? Two completely different design philosophies colliding. One is shaped by metal, the other is shaped by code. That simple truth explains more of today's motorcycle landscape than any sales chart or marketing pitch. Harley's approach has always been rooted in physical presence, thick frames, heavy castings, exposed hardware, and motors that communicate their heartbeat through the entire chassis. The company designs by sculpting steel and letting the machine speak for itself through mass and motion. The result is a motorcycle that feels like an anchor to the road, confident and substantial. But the emerging lifestyle tech brands were never interested in winning that contest. Their design philosophy begins on a screen rather than a drafting board. Software defines the personality first, then the hardware is shaped to support it. A modern electric machine can alter throttle response, traction logic, ride feel, and even its feature set without touching a single bolt. Controllers and firmware updates shape the riding experience more than machining or metallurgy. That shift allows these companies to iterate their products at a pace the motorcycle world has never seen before. A Harley carries its weight and character in every visible seam. A software-first machine hides its complexity beneath smooth surfaces, internal routing, and simplified interfaces. The goal is not mechanical theater, it is seamless operation. Riders adjusting from one philosophy to the other often describe the transition as going from commanding a machine to simply requesting a response. The contrast is not good or bad, it is fundamental. And once design philosophies diverge at this level, the rivalry becomes more than a competition over market share. The threat outside Milwaukee would be easier to face if the biggest obstacles were not inside its own walls. Harley's internal drag, the Fat Boy, and Dyna lessons. Sometimes, the hardest thing to overcome is not the competition. It is your own habits. The stories behind the Fat Boy and the Dyna platform reveal how Harley's fiercely protective stance on its own identity can slow its ability to adapt. These models carry real meaning for riders, but they also show how Harley resisted major redesigns even when engineering improvements were staring them in the face. The company built machines that riders loved, but often kept their quirks alive far longer than a modern manufacturer would dare. Take the old Dyna frame. Riders appreciated its character, but the structure introduced stability issues that were well known in the community. Harley had the technical ability to replace it earlier, yet chose to preserve the platform for years because it represented a cultural staple. The Fat Boy carried its own symbolism, becoming a rolling monument to Harley's past victories. But symbolism does not always translate to forward momentum. These decisions demonstrate a pattern where heritage outweighs adaptation. Inside the company, that mindset creates inertia. Engineers can propose new ideas, but leadership must weigh them against decades of tradition and rider expectations. When every redesign risks upsetting loyal customers, progress slows. That slow pace was never fatal when Harley was competing only with other legacy manufacturers. But now, the field includes companies with no history to preserve and no loyalists to disappoint. They innovate freely. Harley must innovate carefully. If Harley moves carefully, its rivals move, at a speed that leaves no room for hesitation. Why innovation moves faster? Outside Milwaukee. You cannot beat a laptop with a lathe. That is the reality Harley faces as new companies expand through software-driven development cycles. A traditional motorcycle platform demands years of testing, tooling, supplier coordination, and regulatory approval. Once launched, changes arrive in measured steps. Legacy manufacturers are engineered for precision and durability, not for rapid experimentation. Software-first brands operate in a different world. They can modify ride modes, interface behavior, power delivery, and feature sets through simple updates. They can collect user data from real-time riding conditions and adjust their models accordingly. A brand working with digital architecture can release improvements monthly instead of waiting for full model year refreshes. Their speed amplifies their relevance, especially to riders raised in an era where devices evolve constantly. This pace advantage also means mistakes cost less. A flaw in software can be patched overnight. A flaw in hardware locks a company into years of warranty challenges and negative reputation cycles. Harley's caution is understandable. It builds machines expected to last decades. But caution slows momentum, and momentum is what these newcomers use as fuel. The proof is on the table. Now, the fallout lands squarely on the riders and the culture they built. The rider identity split. No one wanted to talk about. This is not a debate about horsepower. It is a debate about who we are on the road. For decades, the riding world had a common language, even when tastes differed. Riders respected the mechanical heartbeat of a machine, the long-distance stories told at gas stations, and the bond that forms when a bike demands something from you. But now a new style of rider enters the scene with a completely different expectation. They want silent power, instant response, digital dashboards, and a machine that acts more like a cooperative device than a stubborn partner. Neither perspective is wrong. They simply come from different eras of experience. Old school riders value the sense of presence a machine gives them. New riders value the sense of control technology gives them. When these two perspectives meet, the friction is not over specs. It is over meaning. One group sees a motorcycle as a relationship built through miles and maintenance. The other sees it as a streamlined extension of daily life. The divide does not need anger to exist. It forms naturally when a machine represents two different philosophies about freedom, responsibility, and the purpose of a ride. Those tremors show up first where the money changes hands, and that means the dealership floor. Dealership floors. Tell the truth before anyone else. If you want to know where the market is heading, watch the showroom, not the ads. Dealers see trends long before the public catches on. They feel every rise and dip in enthusiasm through foot traffic, trade-ins, and the questions people ask when they stand next to a new bike. In recent years, those signals have shifted in ways impossible to ignore. The traditional buyer still walks in looking for a touring machine with real road comfort and long-distance potential. But the next wave of buyers comes in with a completely different checklist. They want to know about updates, interfaces, and how the bike fits into the rest of their devices. Dealers report that the questions have changed more than the machines themselves. Older buyers ask about maintenance schedules and long-haul reliability. Newer buyers ask about features and connectivity. When two groups pull in opposite directions, inventory strategy becomes a balancing act instead of a steady flow. Trade-in patterns also reveal the shift. Bikes once considered safe, long-term purchases now come back sooner, replaced by machines with fast-evolving feature sets. That pressure exposes a deeper problem, one that sits right in the center of Harley's product strategy. If you want the real story behind the changes shaping our roads, subscribe now. We cut through the noise and bring you the facts the industry never volunteers. Stay with us because the next one in this shift is already unfolding. The vanishing middle ground, when bikes please no one. Trying to ride two lanes at once just leaves you stuck in the gravel. The middle of the motorcycle market used to be a stable place where brands experimented without risking their identities. But today, that space is collapsing. Machines that try to blend old-school mechanical soul with modern tech elegance often land in a no-man's land. They are too modern for riders who want tradition, yet too traditional for riders who want innovation. The result is a category full of bikes that struggle to find a home. The most visible example is any hybrid attempt that tries to appeal to both sides at once. These bikes promise classic heritage with modern function, yet they rarely satisfy either group. The old-school rider feels the machine lacks depth. The new-school rider feels the machine lacks integration. The compromise ends up diluting the strengths of both approaches, leaving a product that pleases neither camp. When the middle ground disappears, companies are forced to choose a direction instead of settling for a blend. And that is why Harley now stands at a fork it cannot avoid, no matter how much history it carries. Harley's crossroads. Protect the past or build the future. Every rider knows this moment, the one where the road splits and you have to choose. Harley now finds itself in that exact position. The brand can protect the past, doubling down on the heritage that built its reputation, or it can commit to a future shaped by faster innovation and changing expectations. Both choices carry real consequences. Protecting the past keeps loyal riders grounded in the machines they love, but it risks losing relevance with new buyers who expect their bikes to evolve quickly. Building the future opens the door to new, riders, and new markets, but it risks fracturing the identity that Harley spent more than a century shaping. This crossroads is not about fear or failure, it is about direction. Legacy brands eventually reach a point where refinement is not enough and evolution becomes mandatory. Harley's challenge is finding a way to evolve without erasing the soul that made the brand iconic. That balance will define the next decade of the American motorcycle landscape. Riders on both sides of the identity divide are watching closely, waiting to see which lane Harley chooses. What comes next reaches far beyond Harley or its riders. It stretches into the global market, the political arena, and the future of motorcycling itself. How global brands are moving, while Harley hesitates. While Harley debates its next move, the rest of the world is already shifting gears. Japanese manufacturers have spent decades perfecting refinement, efficiency, and long-term reliability. They are not chasing headlines. They are tightening tolerances, improving power delivery, and building machines that run smoother with every generation. Their strategy is simple. If the market demands quiet confidence, they will deliver precision. If the market swings toward electrification, they will introduce versions that fit seamlessly into their existing ecosystems. This steady progress gives them a foundation Harley cannot easily match. European brands are pushing forward with premium engineering, advanced electronics, and performance tuned for 21st century expectations. They pair sophistication with personality, moving faster than Harley can answer. At the same time, new entrants from Asia and Europe sprint into electric platforms, experimenting freely without heritage holding them back. Harley stands at a crossroads while competitors surge ahead, widening the gap and raising hard questions about its future. And that pressure builds before regulation reshapes the road itself. For all the regulatory pressures, no V-twin can outrun. The law does not care how long you have loved the sound of a motor. Across the country and around the world, regulatory forces are reshaping what motorcycles can be and how they can behave. Noise restrictions tighten year after year, especially in areas where residential complaints have grown louder than exhaust systems. Cities impose decibel limits that older machines struggle to meet, and enforcement becomes stricter as communities push for quieter streets. A V-twin's voice, once a symbol of freedom, now bumps into mandated ceilings that many riders never imagined. Environmental regulation brings even more pressure. States incentivize electric vehicles through tax breaks, infrastructure, and grant programs aimed at reducing emissions. Governments lean on manufacturers to cut pollutants across every model line, pushing them toward hybrid systems or fully electric transitions. For companies that already operate in the electric space, this is an opportunity. For Harley, which built its name on combustion, it is a challenge that hits at the core of its identity. Mandates move forward regardless of tradition. Regulators operate on deadlines, not nostalgia. And Harley can adapt or resist, but cannot ignore the pressure. Transportation is being engineered from above, rewarding silence and efficiency over character and roar. And behind every regulation stands another force reshaping the future: American manufacturing. The hard reality for American manufacturing. This is not just a story about motorcycles, it is about the American worker. Traditional motorcycle production relied on skilled trades, mechanical experts, and hands-on craftsmanship passed from one generation to the next. A combustion engine contains hundreds of moving parts, demanding knowledge that cannot be replaced by software alone. But electric platforms collapse that complexity. Fewer mechanical components mean fewer technicians, fewer machinists, and fewer specialists. The shift does not eliminate work entirely, but it reshapes it into something different from the world many factory veterans grew up in. Manufacturing plants that once relied on large teams now run with leaner crews, as automation replaces tasks once guided by human judgment. New roles demand training in electronics and diagnostics, leaving long-time craftsmen facing unfamiliar transitions. Global pressure pushes companies toward outsourcing and modular production, and Harley cannot escape that reality. It must balance heritage with efficiency as modern riders expect tech-forward machines at competitive prices. The industry moves on, but the people who built it face a new landscape. One question remains: who defines the road ahead? The future rider and the road ahead. Maybe the real question is not whether Harley can survive, but what the next era of riding will stand for. The future rider grows up in a world shaped by digital habits, environmental awareness, and constant connectivity. They expect machines to communicate, adapt, and enhance daily life. A motorcycle is no longer just a tool for travel or a symbol of independence. It becomes a choice that reflects personal values, lifestyle, and long-term plans. This shift does not erase the love many riders feel for classic machines. It simply expands the definition of what motorcycles can represent. The future rider wants versatility, power on demand, silence when needed, and convenience in every mile. They expect updates, intuitive interfaces, and performance shaped by software as much as hardware. Tradition still matters, but experience matters more. Harley survives only by translating its legacy into a language the next generation understands. This is not old versus new. It is a merging of possibilities. The real shock was realizing Harley's greatest threat was not a rival at all, but a changing world. This shift isn't about picking sides or tearing Harley down. It's about understanding what's really changing before the market makes the decision for you. If you've ridden Harleys long enough to see the highs and the missteps, your experience matters here. Drop your take in the comments. What are you seeing at dealers or on the road? If this breakdown helped, hit like and subscribe.